Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Bill Maher, you know the problem that Chris Christie is in. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. You're listening to the American Family Radio Talk Network, the most dangerous and feared radio network in all of America. You know, Chris Christie really hurt himself in the campaign. He got buddy-buddy with Barack Obama, said wonderful things about Barack Obama, stood Mitt Romney up at a campaign appearance, and now Bill Maher, I mean, the kiss of death on Chris Christie for 2016. Bill Maher essentially endorsed Chris Christie over the weekend. I can actually embrace this guy, quote, end quote. President Obama pledging to get out of Washington more often in his second term because it is just good for my soul. Now, I want to talk to you about this Electoral College thing, and then I want to talk about Petraeus before we go back to the phones. And that is that the Democrats are very close, and we just need to have a sober awareness of what we're dealing with here. The Democrats are very close to having a lock on the Electoral College. And that's one of the reasons, if you're a Republican, that's one of the reasons alone why this business about amnesty is suicidal. I mean, set aside what's good for the country. I think amnesty is bad for the country. That's why I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to amnesty because it is bad for the United States of America. It is bad for the country that I love. It's bad for the country I want to bequeath to my children and my grandchildren. So that's why I'm against it. It has nothing to do with political party. But the Republicans are the only political party that's even remotely pretending to defend our immigration laws. And that's why amnesty is absolutely suicidal for the Republican Party. They embrace amnesty. They are done. They're toast. They're finished. You can stick a fork in them. They will never be a political force in America again because they will simply be swamped by the Democrats because the Hispanics are never going to vote Republican. They're just not going to do it. I'm looking at a chart here. The high water mark for Hispanic vote was, according to Pew Research, was 40%. George Bush, 2004. That's their high water mark. And right after Ronald Reagan signed the amnesty bill of 1986, they actually lost ground. I mean, Reagan signs the amnesty bill. He got 38% of the vote in 1984. The candidate who succeeded him, George Bush I, got 30%. They dropped 7-8 points after signing the amnesty bill. I mean, the thought that signing an amnesty bill is going to get you Latino votes, it's just insane. It is moronic. It is political idiocy. So again, it's bad for the country, which is why I'm against it. But if you're a Republican, it is bad for your party. And the Republican Party is on thin ice right now. According to this piece by Richard Barron, this is pretty sobering. In the last 6 presidential elections now, so you're going back, 24 years, which would take you back to Bush won 1988. In the last 6 presidential elections, 18 states, this is our second Fisher factoid of the day, 18 states have voted for the Democratic candidate every single time. So the Democrat candidate for president is 6 for 6 over the last 24 years in these 18 states. They have a combined 242 electoral college votes. You need 270 to win. So these 18 states right now are completely locked up for the Democrat Party. You can put them in the bank. You start toting up the election results in 2016, you might as just well write 242 electoral votes under whoever the Democrat is. Doesn't matter who the candidate is. If it's Hillary Clinton, doesn't matter who it is. They got 242. We're spotting them, 242 electoral college votes before the campaign has even started. They got 242 points on the board before kickoff, before the first pitch is thrown, before anybody's teed off, and they only need to get to 270 to win. Now, in addition, Iowa, New Hampshire, and New Mexico, those 3 states have voted Democrat 5 out of the last 6. That's 15 electoral votes. That puts them up to 257. Now, Nevada seems to have become a reliable Democratic state. That's 6 electoral votes. That puts them up to 263. So they only need to get to 270 to win. They're 7 electoral votes short of winning the next presidential election before the campaign has even started. So they have virtually got a lock on the presidential Electoral College from here until forever. Unless something unforeseeable happens, they are going to have a lock on this thing. And CNN broke it down. You got the Mid-Atlantic and New England states are solidly Democrat. Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine. You got the West Coast states, California, Oregon, Washington. You got Hawaii. You got the Midwestern states like Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Now, the Republicans, on the other hand, their red wall, that's the blue wall, 242 votes solid, pretty close to having 263 locked up before 2016 even starts. Republicans have a red wall. This is Southern, Plains, and Mountain states. They've only got 177 electoral votes locked up. So the Republicans start with 177 points on the board, needing 270. The Democrats start with 242, maybe as many as 263. You know, and the demographics are changing in Texas. Texas is liable to go blue because of the Hispanic population. So it's just insane for the Republicans to think that by going amnesty, it's going to help them. Hispanics, we've talked about this. Heather McDonald said, look, they vote Democrat for welfare, not because of immigration. You're not going to get any of their votes by going with amnesty. It's just not going to work. They're not going to vote for you. The Reagan amnesty bill makes that absolutely clear. Now, I want to talk about, well, let me take a couple phone calls. Let me take a couple phone calls, and then we'll do the Petraeus stuff in the next segment. Let's go to James, Spring Hill, Florida. James, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I just have to say that I can't quite agree with you that I think that we do have Adolf Hitler in the White House at this point in time. And you know what? I think if he deports us, he's going to deport us just like Adolf Hitler deported the Jews into graves.
Yeah, well, you know, and I appreciate...
Something wrong with this picture.
Yeah, well, you know, there's no question there's something wrong. I'm not going to say that he's Adolf Hitler. You're certainly, as a listener, entitled to that point of view. But I think, you know, you look, James, you look at the way he's conducted himself in these first 4 years. He's virtually been a dictator. He's ignored Congress. He said, I'm just going to ignore Congress. They don't do what they want. I'm just going to go around them. He's issued something like 179 executive orders, many of which are of dubious constitutionality. The Heritage Foundation has said, look, at 40 different times he has directly flouted either the Constitution, the law, or the Congress, some kind of procedural thing. 40 times he has done that. And, you know, he told the Medvedev of Russia, just wait till I get reelected. I'll have more flexibility, and that could mean more opportunity to impose his will on us.
I heard it, and I want to say one more thing about what we're talking about. He says that he didn't have anything to do with Libya.
I know it.
What a joke.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's going to be interesting, and this gets me into the Petraeus stuff, and I'll say this for the bottom of the hour because I want to take a couple of phone calls. But, you know, the interesting thing is Petraeus has agreed to testify on Friday. Now, I believe there's reason to suspect, and we'll play a couple of sound bites, I think there's reason to suspect that General Petraeus is what he said right after the Libya thing. This is all about a movie, all about a spontaneous protest connected to a movie, that I think there's a good chance that he was coerced into saying that by the Obama administration, which had the goods on him about his affair. And he was intimidated or blackmailed or coerced into singing from the party music sheet and say it was all about a movie when he knew better. And now, think about this for a second. Now that they have no leverage, his reputation shot, his career is done, the affair is exposed, they have absolutely no leverage. So General Petraeus has the freedom on Friday to tell the unvarnished truth about Benghazi. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll explain this after the break. This actually could bring Barack Obama down. I think if General Petraeus tells the truth on Friday, it could start a chain of events which could bring the Obama presidency down. Well, let's go. I'll explain that bottom now. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to James in Lafayette, Louisiana. James, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. One comment about Petraeus first. Petraeus first is he does have to worry about his retirement. They could recall him into the military. and take court-martial law action against him.
Yeah.
But anyway, but what I called about is my wife works for the mighty Walmart, and until about 6 weeks ago, she worked about 30 to 32 hours a week, which is what she wanted. 6 weeks ago, they suddenly changed it to 28 hours a week.
Is that right? Oh, my gosh. That's Walmart. Well,
That's Walmart.
So that just tells you,
She's not the
James,
only one.
this is system-wide. This is universal now, all over America. Well, and that's got to be a hardship for you guys. I mean, I have no idea what your income level is, but you're losing, what is that? You're losing 4 to 7 hours a week of work, and therefore the income that goes with it, that's got to pinch you guys.
Yeah, well, we're not in too bad a shape because I am retired military, and she's collecting her Social Security now, so we're going to make it.
Yeah.
But God provides.
Yeah. All right, James. Well, listen, that's interesting, and that just another anecdotal confirmation that Obamacare is hurting the little guy. You know, there may be a lot of people that are working for Walmart 32, 35 hours a week. They're not in the position that James and his wife are in. They're dependent on every dollar, and their hours are getting cut, income getting cut, losing their health insurance. Let's go to Brian in Grants Pass, Oregon. Brian, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, first I want to thank you for your show. I've called in before, but every time I call in, I feel like I should say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for listening, and thanks for calling.
I wanted to talk about or just make a few points about the states, especially Texas, trying to secede. I'm from Texas. I was born and raised there, so this issue's come up over the years. This isn't the first time. But I think we should keep it a little bit in perspective. Like, for instance, I see it on the internet and some other places where they're, making this sound really big, 100,000 people signing a petition, and you got to realize that's less than 1% of Texas's population.
That's correct. Yeah.
And signing this petition. I live in Oregon. I think we have one too.
Yeah, every state in the union has got one now. All 50 states do, Brian. And the significant thing to me is this obviously has no legal effect. I'm just kind of curious to see what the Obama administration is going to do. That's part of why I'm just intrigued by this process, because they've obligated themselves to make some sort of a response. And obviously, you got 100,000 Texans, Brian. I mean, yeah, that may be a small percentage, but that is a whole lot of folks. That'll fill up the Rose Bowl. That'll fill up the stadium at Michigan University. So that is a substantial number of people say, look, I'm frustrated with the Obama administration. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.